Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Donna Lynn Hilton, producer for Goodspeed Musicals, and welcome to my home office. And I'm joined here by Michael Fling. Hi, Michael.
Hi. Hello. It's my first time on the program.
I know. Well, people keep telling me that you should be on the program. They don't like you being behind the scenes, so we brought you on. So thank you for joining me, Michael.
I'm very happy to be here and with this team because I adore each and every one of them.
So I will go ahead and say that this segment is being pre-recorded due to the time difference between East Haddam and London, where our guests are joining us from. So we won't have the ability to answer questions tonight. But if you have any burning questions for this team, something you just have to know, you can message info@goodspeed.org, and we will work on getting you the answers you desire. To those of you who have not attended this event previously, I like to share that one of the great parts of my job is establishing and managing relationships with our artists. And our artistic team, Michael, our artistic associate, Annika Chapin, and I are constantly tracking numerous projects in development. As part of that work, I normally spend a lot of time having coffee or going to readings or taking writers to lunch. And more recently, we spend a lot of time like this, don't we, Michael?
We sure do.
A lot of Zoom conversations. But we're finding that our audience is really enjoying this peek behind the curtain. It actually gives our audience access to more new work than we're usually able to provide. So that's been one of the really exciting pieces of this. So Michael, you want to introduce our guests?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring them in one at a time. It's my first time, being on and also conducting the whole thing. So direct, whatever. So we are joined today by Nick Butcher, Tom Ling, and Jo White, a team that we met this year at the Jonny Mercer Foundation Writers Colony that we host. So we're very happy to have you all.
Hello, thanks for having us. Hi.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Oh, right. Yeah, got a big blanket.
Yeah, share. Why don't you, Joe?
Yeah.
Middle of the afternoon here. It's summertime.
I've gone for a cup of tea, but I definitely will go for the wine after this.
Okay. So because you guys were new to Michael and me until the submission process for the Writers Colony this year, we had a ball getting to know you at the colony and hearing a lot about the work that you're going to share with us later. But because you were brand new to us, you're certainly brand new to our audience here at Goodspeed. So can I ask each of you to give us the 2-minute version about what should our audience know about you, Nick Butcher?
Okay, so I have been musical theatre obsessed since I was a kid, and the big leap for me was moving from Plymouth at the age of 16, and I went to London to train as a dancer. Well, I went to a dance school actually that did singing and acting, and I then went and had a really wonderful career as an actor, performing in lots of musicals in the West End, but in lots of regional houses. I guess the equivalent of Goodspeed in England, Chichester, Sheffield, and had a wonderful time doing lots of new projects, specifically a lot of new musicals, and was just very lucky to be watching the great people at work. George Stiles and Drewe, who wrote Mary Poppins, or Cameron Mackintosh, or Angela Weber. So I was in those rooms watching it happen and always had my eye on the creative table, knowing that one day I'd hopefully make the leap across. And I've always been musical, I've always written. And in the last couple of years, I was like, okay, do you know what? I think I could do this. So I sort of set out on a journey to transition from a full-time performing career to full-time writing. And that has happened in the last couple of years. By putting my stuff out on YouTube, by developing projects, by going after content that I wanted to create, and it's gone really well. And I think I did a gig in London, like my own first live show last April, and through someone that was there, I think spoke to Donna in New York, and then I got invited on the JMF Colony. So it's pure luck and coincidence, and a sharing of a love for the creative art, really, for writing and developing shows.
Stephen at Sam French in London was the person
that was it.
I needed to know you guys. Yeah. Okay, Tom, how about you? What do we need to know about you?
So I grew up in Watford,
just outside of London. And I actually didn't go straight to any sort of drama school or anything like that. I actually went to the University of Birmingham to do a history and politics degree, which was really good. And I really enjoyed it. I had a really great 3 years there. But I sort of just spent my whole time pretending to do a drama degree and doing, I think I did like 20 shows or something ridiculous, as much as I could. And so I was kind of, edging towards the performing side of things. But in my second year, one of my friends said to me, we want to take a musical up to Edinburgh Fringe. Would you like to write the lyrics for it? And I'd never written lyrics before, so I don't know where they got the idea from to ask me, but I agreed to it. And we took a show up. It was my first experience writing on a musical, and it did quite well. Had a really good 2-week run there. And then the next year we took up another show called Techies, which was really fun. And I wrote and directed that, and that sold out. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, okay, well, I really want to do the performing, but this writing side of things is really exciting as well. And after doing my degree in history, I auditioned and got into Guildford School of Acting. So I went there and I did an MA there for a year in musical theatre. And one of the modules on that was a devising module. And that was really amazing, actually, because they literally broke down kind of the production side of things, how to sell to producer, how to write the show from, an original idea and bring it to actually putting it on. So we had, I think, like 6 weeks to basically write the show and put it on to the school and our parents and stuff, with directors that came in outside and worked with us. And that show was really fun. It was called this Spilt Milk, which then turned into the show called The Cereal Cafe, which literally this time last year, March, we ended up taking to the Other Palace, which is a theatre in London, for a professional showcase. So that was kind of like my first, proper go at writing a professional show. And then when I graduated GSA, I saw a tweet on Twitter from Nick.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, saying, hi, I'm looking for a lyricist. And I remember I was just sitting in my armchair, like some old man smoking a pipe. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So anyway, I messaged Nick, and we got on really well. Like he said, we did some YouTube videos, and I helped him out with his concert as well that he was talking about in London. And 2 years later, here we are talking to you guys. So it's been really amazing.
And Joe, we're gonna go to you next. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So Joe, tell us about you.
So I'm a writer from a place called Birmingham in England, not the Alabama one, the original one. And I've been a playwright. I've been writing for about, 8 years, something like that, maybe 6-7 years. They call it emerging writers, but I seem to be constantly emerging and submerging. I'm about here now, I think, just about above the surface. But I had a play on 2 years ago at a theatre called the Orange Tree in Richmond, which was luckily just did very well, and I'd sort of been writing it for a while. I wrote it in the countryside. I got a year placement in the countryside with a company called Pentabus, and lost my mind and wrote this play. It actually went quite well. It turned out well. And Nick saw it, and like Tom, he's like the Avengers Assemble. Nick just sort of called it. Nick tweeted me, and I think Nick got in touch with me with every mode of contact he could. And I think I ignored him on all of them for a while.
You did.
And eventually wrote back being like, okay, let's talk about this this idea that he had, and thus our relationship was born. And we've sort of been writing for a while now, but it's been a really fruitful sort of relationship, and I've loved working with the guys. And our time at Goodspeed was formative in everything that we've done. Actually, I mean, we went out there with little sort of, I'm sure we'll get into the idea later, but we went out there with tiny little notes of what we were going to do. No dialogue on page at all. I'd never worked like that before. I never worked in a sort of note system, but Nick's quite insistent and very good, and rightfully so. we came out with a whole first draft of the musical. 60 plus pages of dialogue with songs. So with 14 songs, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So I've never ever worked as hard or as sort of solidly as we did in Connecticut, but I sort of, it was an amazing experience, and we just got so much from it. So
Joe, is this the first book of a musical you've worked on?
Yes, which I confessed first day at the salon in Goodspeed, and I don't know what the reaction was like. Actually, I felt a sort of cold shudder went through most people. But then I was welcomed. I was welcomed in very quickly. But yeah, I love musicals, but never attempted. I'm not musical whatsoever. Musically challenged, but like I love them. And Nick used the word play a lot. He'd say like, "You're writing the play." And it was just little jargon things to trick me, to make me think that I was just writing a normal play.
Well, so that turns us to the play, because I think that is, there are, Michael Stewart famously said about 42nd Street, I think he didn't write the book, he wrote the lead-ins and the crossovers. But this is not a show like this. This is a show that has a true book to it. So let's bring our audience into the loop. Tell us about the show. What's it about?
So it's based on a memoir by a young English guy. We're not actually going to tell the name of the title. There's just some contractual things at the moment that we're just finishing off, but just to put that out there. It's a memoir by a young guy in England who, when he was 17, finished his first leg of exams, AS levels we call them when he's 17, and went on his first holiday and had a terrible accident in the sea, and broke the third vertebra in his neck, and became a tetraplegic, which is paralyzed from the shoulders down. And through his amazing family and support network, and just his incredible spirit, and sort of sense of hope and improvement, really self-improvement, he worked his way back into more than normal life. He became a mouth painter. He became a motivational speaker. He does TED Talks. He's an absolutely incredible person. And we were lucky enough to get the rights, and we researched it really heavily before we came out. We met all of the family. We met him a few times, friends, teachers, the spinal specialists in the hospital. We did 3 months pretty much solid research and just interviews. And as always, the book was brilliant in the first place, and hopeful and full of life, and really fundamentally a family story about coming together over, with massive adversity and a huge obstacle. And this is a family that are very active and sporty and play rugby and actually live their life through activity, physical activity, and then had to sort of reassess everything. And obviously it disrupted a lot of stuff, but they learnt, the person in question talks a lot about the man he became because of this, and how he never could have been the person that he is without the worst thing that could have happened. It's the worst thing that could have happened to him was also sort of in a way the best thing, which is a bizarre way of framing it, but it happens to be true. And it's been an incredible experience being involved from day dot, really, because they're just such amazing people. We're sort of very lucky to be involved in their lives.
Well, and from the parts of the show that I was exposed to at the Colony, and you were with us for 2 full weeks, so we did get to hear quite a bit of the show as you worked on it. It is, everything you say is so true, and it is, despite the tragedy, such a beautiful, uplifting story. I just, you know, that does not, for that reason, it does not surprise me at all that it is so rich musically. So let's get to the song that you brought, because it's particularly special that you brought something that was captured at the Colony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the song we didn't go out with this either. We had no idea that this song was going to exist, and people keep telling me that the best songs they think you write or you write happen like that, and I was like yet to find that one. It's like, oh god, I slave away on these songs and try and make them good. Anyway, we were sitting with Joe up in your wonderful music department by the library, and we were just talking, and I think by this point we were so into the story that it was so instinctive, the writing, and we were talking about this last moment in the show where it's sort of like his healing, and without giving away the main motif of the song, or the show really, there is his sort of inner personality and his physical personality, and this song is the healing of that, basically. The show is, a lot of it is about painting and color and light, and this song specifically, we knew we wanted something that referred to paintings, basically.
And I want to be sure, sorry,
I was going to say the song's called Heal You.
Heal You. And I just want to be sure that people know that. So there are, I think we should make sure people know that there are two.
Yeah. There's two Henrys.
There's two Henrys.
Should we explain that a little bit as a structure?
Yeah, go on, Joe.
So when we were, when we first met Henry, actually, when you're first having a conversation with Henry, you completely forget that he's tetraplegic, that there is no movement in his shoulders down. But from the very beginning of this conversation about this as a show, we were talking to a theatre company in London called Grey Eye, an associate there, about how to realise disability on stage without putting unnecessary stress on a performer. It's about representation and visibility, of course. But if you were to put somebody who has Henry's exact condition, who's tetraplegic, it's impossible for things like lung capacity, loads of things, just energy levels, a whole host of infections. So we've had to sort of think from the very beginning about how to stage somebody with disability of that level, and we of course want performers of disability in the show and very heavily in the world of it. So we were talking to Henry about, I've used his name loads, sorry. We were talking about how to make it active as well as be aware of disabled performers, and we came up with the idea that at the point of the accident there is a split. He talks a lot in the book about a split in himself, where there was a parallel version of those events where he got up and walked out of the sea, and it's a motif that sort of comes throughout the book as well. There's a lot of mirrors and seeing himself, and we thought about that moment as a split of a sort of the boy that he was, and then the man that he was going to become. Mm-hmm. And so, and it's a tension throughout the whole of the musical, is between those two parts of him. It's a way to also physicalize mental health and the battles within himself. But this is a point in the show where they can finally come together, basically, and heal.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look.
And not to spoil the video beforehand, but normally we don't capture things at the Colony like this, so it is kind of special we have it. And also, I think there are a few teams as entertaining as the three of you every time you guys. So you're seeing something special. Okay.
Thank you.
That isn't darkness, black isn't pain. Black is all the colours mixed back together again. Those colours in hiding need to be shared. I'll guide paint along the canvas, and you'll always be there. Use our past to make us last.
And Henry picks up the paintbrush with his mouth.
Let's paint it red.
Paints a stroke.
Let's paint it blue.
And then another.
Paint the world with colors that leap from inside of you. Paint with the head, then throw it away. Paint out your tomorrow with the colors of today. Let it heal you. Let it pour. Let it steal you. Let it soar.
Don't just stand around, pick up a brush.
Here nothing can harm us. Into the page we can dive. Be free and be reckless. Feel our bodies come alive. Tell everyone our story and all that we have done. Watch two hearts come together, colliding as one. Let's paint it red. Let's paint it blue.
Paint the world with colors that leap from inside of you. Paint with the hurt, then throw it away. Paint out your tomorrow with the colors of today.
Let it heal you.
Let it go. Let it seal you. Let it soar.
Run down the page. Go run down the page. Go
Henry starts running around with the
down the page. Go run down the page.
Let go of the word, then throw it away. Paint on your tomorrow with the colors of today. Let it heal you. Let it pour. Let it seal you. Let it soar.
Grove Hotel, the gallery.
Ah.
Beautiful.
That's nice.
I also just love how like full of life and full of spirit and heart your all's music is and the show is, which we obviously saw a ton of at the Colony because you'd come in. I feel like every night you all would come and be like, "We've got a new scene. We're reading." So can you all talk a little bit about? We talked a little bit about how you've spent your time at the Colony. All the time that you did spend in the special music room next to the library, and your note cards and all that. Talk a little bit about that process and what that was like.
Well, I'm so big on structure. For me, like I said to the boys, like from day dot, I was like, having done new musical workshops or been in new musicals, structure just is everything. Songs can't just be put in a certain place. You can't have 3 up-tempo songs next to each other. There's such a form to it. So I sort of tried to drag the boys or Joe back from just diving in and writing a scene, which might be how, when you're writing a play, it's the best way just to go in. And we did loads of research, and then we sat for days and days and days and just had these note cards and moved them around and tried to figure out what this show looked like from beginning to end, but also what it looked like as an album. Like, what would this show look like on Spotify? How does that read? what's right for the show. So basically, when we got to Goodspeed, we felt like we had like lots of armor, but actually we didn't have anything really in terms of text, or we'd sort of played with some song ideas. We had some demos that sort of enabled us to get to this point. But it was really like pressing go, and we really did from the beginning. But we also found, I don't know why, but quite collectively, we loved working up in your music room. That was sort of like so inspiring just to get out, and you've got some gorgeous grand pianos, and me and Tom would just go up there, and Joe would be in the other room, and we'd sort of say like, look, all right, half an hour, come back.
Yeah, when we say we love
a really
room, I wasn't allowed in the music room. No. I had to go in that.
We came up with this train.
I had to go in the boiler room, basically. Whilst Nick and Tom wrote beautiful music. But what we did, we did meet. We reconvened every hour. We give each other like an hour,
basically. Yeah.
Which was actually really useful. I've never done that before as well. We have pressured scene deadlines or half scenes or intro and outro of songs or something, and we gave each other this much time, and we went, and we was hard on each other, I think, all around. Like,
we hadn't worked together before, like we hadn't really spent any time together, so we were all a little bit nervous of like, oh wait, there's three lads. I mean, I'd worked with Tom, but to live together for 2 weeks, and creative conversations they need to be heated as part of the DNA of creating something. You need to feel so passionately about it. So there was definitely, but actually it was great. And then you've got that wonderful bar opposite that sort of allowed us to release.
I love
literally, we'd head over there and we'd be like, all right, okay, no, we can go again the next day. But we were literally working from at 8:30 we'd go across for our bagel, and then we'd literally get back to our house at 6 o'clock, and then we'd grab a glass of red wine, head across to the other house to showcase from 6:30 till 9 or something, and then we'd cook food, and then we'd sort of be staring at each other being like, I'm going to go to bed now, and then we'd start it all over again. But it was the most wonderful creative experience, and the piece has benefited from it, I mean, beyond anything, because in London it's so full on. Just even going into central London is trauma. So to just to not have to go, oh, I can't tonight because I'm going to the theatre, or just for those conversations to be able to continue over dinner, over breakfast, to very quickly weed stuff out, because you show something and it's very quickly wrong. Where when that creative conversation is happening over email, or you don't see each other for a couple of weeks, you can sort of really get attached to something that just isn't right. So we very quickly paved a route for this show that
we were stress tested as well in the salons. We were really coming into that room with stuff, except for maybe the first couple of nights where you're like, we've just thought of this, but actually you've had it
right 6 months ago.
But we were genuinely, after that, coming in with very really new stuff, and it's exposing. You're flayed at that moment. You're kind of hoping for the best, but in terms of just learning very quickly about what beats land, and both in the song, we were coming back every night thinking we'd done for the day, and then we'd be cooking or eating and still
talking about it,
still drinking and talking about it, and
That's great.
I think the most beneficial thing for me was just that being as a three the whole time, especially when you're writing a musical, having the links between the songs and the dialogue, and being able to discuss it all the time, and making sure that those links were solid, so that they didn't have a disconnect, which I've sort of had on projects before. Just meant that it just had a through line through the whole thing, which was something which is invaluable, to be honest.
Yeah. The Colony has been just a wonderful experience for us at Goodspeed. We have gotten to know so many wonderful projects, and really, more importantly, so many people that we are immediately grateful to have in our lives. And the three of you fall into that category. So thank you so much for making the time to be with us tonight. And we really look forward to hearing what's next with the show, because, as I said, it is just one of the most beautiful stories that I have run across in a long time. So we wish you all the best, and please do keep us updated as events unfold. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great to
No,
chat.
and once you can like travel again, you have to come back and do more Connecticut sightseeing, because these three had a great time getting.
Oh, good. All right, let me say to our audience watching tonight, thank you so much for everybody who joined us. If you love new work as we do, we invite you to join us here every Thursday night at this time, when we will share a cool new work in development. New work is expensive and it is risky to develop, and we have not given up on it during this pandemic. So I want to say thank you to all of our members and subscribers who have donated their ticket refunds. It means the world to us and makes events like this completely possible, and makes it possible for us to stay in touch with writers and make sure that they continue to feel encouraged and working during this time. If you want to do more for Goodspeed, you can visit goodspeed.org, and we will make that possible for you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next In the Home Office. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.